Can't go back to a box of 8. Now there's 64 colors of every shade. And the only things that I'll regret are all the things I've not colored yet. Not colored.
Claire, ahead of the meeting, what are your hopes?
I would like to, obviously, what I'd really like to see is that no cuts at all. I think that's unlikely in the present circumstances. I certainly don't want to see the extension of volunteer libraries because I think it's unrealistic. The volunteer libraries that exist at the moment work because they're very small libraries. They're in areas which have a very good supply of volunteers and they're supported by the library service. If you decrease library staff, you can't support more volunteer libraries. It's as simple as that. It just will not work. So I would like to see the extension of volunteer libraries ditched. I don't think it's functional. I'd like to see all the libraries remain open, obviously. And I would like to see an approach which says this is about investment, not cost. We don't believe the libraries are a cost, we believe they're an investment because they contribute to all the things that the council is aiming to achieve.
Can't I just do most of it online now? Isn't that the future?
Well, people say that always, and the first thing I say to them is, if you're one of the 1 in 4 who don't have a computer, where do you go online? You go online at the library. The second thing is we're in a rural county where a lot of people still have very poor broadband speed. So actually, even people with a computer quite often end up having to go into the library to do things like submitting their DEFRA returns or job hunting or whatever it may be. And it isn't all online, actually. There is still a need for books, there is still a need for person-to-person contact. And the computers in the library have access to reference materials which most of us can't afford. So people think everything is free online, but it isn't. So if you want to look at Encyclopedia Britannica, actually go to the library because they have a subscription. You can't afford a subscription. So it's not quite as simple as everything's online.
There are 6 librarians now and a number of library assistants who also work in the customer centres. We know that 5 jobs may be under threat from the customer centres. Have you heard anything about the librarians themselves? Because presumably they are needed to support the volunteers.
I absolutely agree. The implication that we've been given is that the cuts are in the primarily customer service. But nothing is clear. And we would be horrified if they're cutting in the librarian posts because those people are the backbone of the whole service. They're the ones who support the volunteer libraries, they're the ones who do all the backroom stuff, the ordering, the organisation, the feedback, I could go on and on. But we cannot afford to lose. We've already lost too many librarians in our view, so we can't afford to lose any more.
And why are books important? Can't you just access it on a Kindle, on a smartphone?
Well, of course you can do that via the library now as well, because you can get your e-books at the library. But I still think, and many of us still think, there is something special about books. If you watch The Toddlers tomorrow afternoon at Ross Library, it's books that they will be enjoying. They will be in for bounce and rhyme, and they'll be taking home a pile of picture books. You can never replace that with a Kindle. And you don't need batteries for a book, this is true. I use my Kindle so rarely it never runs out.
Well, just to go back very quickly, a couple of years, we at Leominster, it was proposed that Leominster Library was one of the 2 in the county to be closed. So the onus, if you like, was then on us to come up with a very good case for retention of the library, not just any old retention, but retention of a really comprehensive and efficient library, because Leominster Library is very vibrant, multi-usage. We've got the registrar in there, we've got the social services in there, we've got a dozen computers, well used. because the Leominster area is an area with one of the lowest percentages of personal computer use in the country. We run events for the children, we have book groups in there, music groups in there, immensely well used, exhibition rooms, and it would be an absolute travesty if it was shut. It would literally tear the heart out of the community, and we're just not going to permit that. We've put some very cogent arguments up, and despite virtually no support at all from our MP, we do feel that we're going to succeed in having a library, and it's up to us to work with the council to make sure that it's a very vibrant library, that we explore income generation, but effectively at the end of the day, even if we do have a library come next April, the message to the people of Leominster will be, use it or lose it.
Well, I'm Helen Astley and I'm the Vice Chair of the Hereford Local Government Branch of Unison, and our position is clear. We're absolutely not happy with any cuts to the library service, and we'd absolutely urge the councillors today to choose option 4, which is the enhanced service. We don't agree with any of the other options because they all involve severe cuts to the service, cuts in jobs. It's just not acceptable to us, and we will continue to fight. I'm a library assistant myself, so obviously it not only affects me personally and my colleagues, but I see just how much the library service does for vulnerable people. People can't do without this service. There are so many people in need at the moment. Unemployed people need the computers to fill in job applications. It can't go on. We won't accept any more cuts, and that's why we're here today.